Greetings, I'm Maggie Moon. Thank you for joining me for this discussion of altering your reality with sorcery and Luciferian magic. I'm going to begin my discussion with a definition by Michael W. Ford as a framework, and I'm going to build my discussion thereon. What is magic? Magic is the art of causing change internally and externally in accordance with the will. Magic is the art of transformation into a sense of divine consciousness that is meant to improve and assist the Luciferian. Bible of the Adversary by Michael W. Ford. If we reflect on these words, magic is the art of causing change internally and externally. The implementation and utilization of magic as a tool of personal transformation is a primary focus of Luciferian witchcraft. Why do you think this is? Because to change your thinking is to change your experience of reality. I've heard a couple of expressions long ago that I feel might be relevant. You attract what you are, not what you want. Be the change you want to see in the world. Maybe you have heard them as well. Now, if I take these words at face value as being simplistic, I would likely miss out on the hidden wisdom contained therein. Let's look at how we define ourselves. If I were to define myself from these terms, I might say, I'm Maggie. I'm a mother. I'm a Luciferian witch. I'm a business owner, a wife, a Reiki master and a healer, a YouTuber and a writer. Now, if I really want to manifest change in my world, I would need to reconsider my initial definitions as to who I am. First, I must realize that I am not a thing. I am not things, and I am not titles. Neither are you. You are not things. You are not titles. We must realize that we are energy. All things are made up of energy. Energy that is vibrating at different frequencies. When we bring this awareness, we can begin to understand the cause and effect of things and how to manifest change in our reality. I would like to give another example. Let's say that there is a person who is always rushing through life from one task to the next, and then allows these rushed and stressed thoughts to be internally reflected. Let's say this person may have a large percentage of their internal narrative replaying their stressors by continuously engaging in these reactionary thoughts. Well, they're most likely generating, manifesting, and maintaining the current state in which they are in. Or when that eternal narrative begins to get even more derailed, they may find things that actually begin to change for the worst. For those things that they have always feared and stressed about having never occur, actually begin to manifest. Why do you think this is? For some reason, there seems to be this big dissonance within the psyche of many people. Somewhere along the way, people lost touch with themselves, those internal drives and desires and passions, and to give all of that up and give your thoughts and your power over to some outside God, thus having lost or never even having that chance to develop that inner instinctual guide. Once we connect with that inner instinctual guide, we begin the process of becoming in alignment with our true will and start to generate change. Often, our goals and desires evolve and change as we too evolve and change. Okay, so how to start the process altering reality with sorcery and Luciferian magic? Well, right from the onset, it is of the utmost importance to develop that relationship with the daemon that I was just speaking of, to take those actions that will lead to that alignment with the self on all levels and open up that highway of communication with the higher self. the inner instinctual guide, the daemon. By understanding the laws of cause and effect, we can start to see things in a different light. There are a variety of ways of approaching and understanding of this. One may wish to undergo a study of the 7 Hermetic principles as a starting point of thought to start to generate your own awareness and understanding of what these things are, and to begin to understand the interconnectedness and how to personally apply these practices to enrich your experience of your life. Shortly, I am going to touch on the 7 Hermetic principles. Now, this will by no means be an exhaustive discussion on the 7 Hermetic principles, because one could really consider and ponder the meanings of these indefinitely. I am only going to provide a very brief glimpse into my understanding. Also, meditation is foundational practice to all magical endeavors. It helps calm and focus the mind and to bring that awareness inward. Having your awareness within the inner plane will help you to become a more self-aware person. Often, in those inner planes is where solutions are found. It's also a time where you connect with your daemon. There are a variety of techniques that can be implemented for this practice. What is truly important is that you utilize a technique that you enjoy enough to keep doing it every day. I like to use Aramaic Yoga daily. Working with the chakras and the archdevas is one of the many tools that are available to you. This method of yoga is derived from Kundalini Yoga, the raising of the fire serpent energy from the base of the spine to the brain. This is particularly powerful and beneficial to the left-hand path practitioner and to the Luciferian to achieve the process of the triad of the morning star: liberation, illumination, and apotheosis. The implementation of any yoga practice will be of benefit to the practitioner and is easily modified to correlate with the desired will, thus becoming a magical act. Mantras, chakra balancing visualizations, invoking deities, power chants, positive affirmations, whatever. What is truly important here is that time is being taken to become self-aware, and through self-awareness, you can find pathways to strengthen the mind and focus the will. The application of the 11 Luciferian points of power can be an excellent framework that can enable one to pinpoint areas within their lives that are good starting points for needed growth. Some recommend that you start to apply 1 or 2 over a gradual period of time. You start to implement more and more as you go, but you don't try to incorporate all 11 at once, because the goal here is to create actual change for the long term. True progress and evolution is not instant, but rather a journey filled with trials and challenges, and those too are part of the process. These are accepted and encouraged because often it is through the struggle that we find opportunities for transformation and growth. These are referred to as initiatory experiences. Accountability is also so very necessary. To truly understand how to successfully manifest desired change, one must release the victim mentality. You must do this to be able to awaken to the realization of their actual power that they as individuals have over their own lives. This process is best begun by having a good, honest look within and without. Are you experiencing the manifestation of the life that you truly want? What do you want to change? How can you go about making these changes? Then you roll up your sleeve and take a good, honest look on how you are either blocking or maintaining these very situations that you want to change. Accept accountability for all of it and rise to the responsibility of the personal power that you truly have. Embrace accountability for everything that you do, from those that you choose to spend your time with, the language you use, the information that you consume, the food that you ingest, the way you appear to others, how you treat others, how you allow others to treat you. You will begin to see areas in which you can start to focus on. Be honest. Flesh these out by very exhaustive means and begin to take the steps to remedy these. You will likely find a great healing in that process. I know I did. The reason why I am so passionate in discussing this topic is because I speak from my own experience that this is real and this can truly help change your world. Instead of being the victim of circumstance, you have taken hold and are sculpting your environment. And you may find as this relationship with the higher self and the more work that you do within the inner planes, and the more you evolve from initiatory experiences, you will see that your world around you is also changing. What was once a barrier is now viewed as an opportunity for growth and experience and knowledge. Through the practice of magic, where you meditate and turn inward, you will gain personal insight through still listening. You will align yourself on all levels, the subconscious, the conscious, and your daemon, and they will start to work together and be on the same page. This is of great benefit to the magical practitioner. Also, you can begin to invoke different deific mass to awaken those energies within you. This is such a very empowering and transformative process through the awareness of further self-knowledge, assisting to increase that inner strength and to be able to overcome any weakness. The utilization of the adversarial current to forge your old into your new, to rise, grow, and become. You will see these changes also start to show how you interact with the mundane world on a day-to-day basis. You will notice that you are acting with more intention and in a controlled, willed manner. You become less reactionary, which is a loss of control. You act instead of react as you tune into yourself and the forces around you. Implementing some of the practices of Aramaic Yoga that Michael W. Ford speaks of in Libra HVHI, when used consistently and properly, can be such a very empowering and life-changing journey. This may be a little bit challenging at the onset for the new left-hand path practitioner or Luciferian. A great starting point would then be to incorporate, in addition to the 11 Luciferian points of power, the 4 yogas of the mind, as discussed by Michael W. Ford on his YouTube channel, The Basics of Aramaic Yoga. You can start to harness that control over the inner and outer plane. I will quickly touch on my interpretations and implementations of these processes. The yoga of consuming. This is of eating and drinking. Also, the awareness that your body is a temple. In fact, it is the most sacred temple that you will ever enter. It is the temple in which your inner God dwells. Be mindful of what you put into it. And this also includes what type of information you choose to consume. The yoga of washing. Yes, this does pertain to keeping your body temple clean and well maintained. But it also has to do with cleansing oneself of anything that you need to shed and rid yourself of. any limited thinking, any addictions or weaknesses, and doing all that you can to keep yourself in a cleansed state so that you can be in balance and in alignment with yourself and your environment. It is important to implement a regime that promotes good psychic hygiene. The yoga of resting. This applies to taking time to allow the body to replenish and revitalize. It also provides a great opportunity for the subconscious and the conscious mind to communicate and become on the same page. For this very reason, I often like to write my spells and my rituals before I go to bed. More often than not, I awake with further insights that are very beneficial to my practice. And I truly attribute this to the fact that I allow that time for that communication to occur and to solidify while I am in my replenishing state. And when I awake with these new insights and a greater understanding of how to achieve my desired change in my reality, I will journal them immediately so that I do not forget. Implementing the practice of keeping a dream journal is so very beneficial. The yoga of rising from this rest state. The initial thoughts that you have upon arising in the morning or whenever you awake to begin your day is so very influential to how the rest of your day will progress. So it is important to have thoughts of empowerment and excitement about the day ahead. Now, how you go about implementing this really is whatever works for you. Whether it is stumbling into your ritual chamber and lighting some incense and meditating with the deities that you feel a great affinity and admiration for that inspire you to be your best self, or some other deity that you are working with to accomplish a specific change in your reality, whether it be Aramaic Yoga, opening up the energetic centers and directing the type of will that you want to send out throughout the day so that you can be receptive to it. If you don't have time for that, you can do some runic chants in the shower or specific mantras or ends of deities, whatever it may be, that will assist you in casting the spell to create the day that you desire. In addition to the 4 yogas, and if you are interested in learning more about these, please head over to Michael W. Ford's YouTube channel where he discusses Aramaic Yoga in great depth, and you will find the initial tools that you need to begin your practice. The implementation of a yoga practice, whether it is Kundalini Yoga or Aramaic Yoga, is so important. It is up to the individual in which method they wish to apply this practice of magic and sorcery with the utilization of the chakra systems. Some may like to work with a more traditional yogic practice and the chakra system. Some may prefer to work with the adversarial map of the chakras. The klipothic paths may be used spiritually and psychologically to generate very powerful change. One can utilize both currents at different times for different things. Really, you're the one that will decide what's best for you. Remember that each chakra represents an element and an area of the physical body, an energy body, of course. For the physical body, this includes the cells, the muscles, the membranes, the nervous system involved in those areas, etc. When this type of meditation is used within the chakra systems with the willed intention of rejuvenating, healing, and replenishing the body, it is such a very powerful act. If you wish, you may also create a mantra to go with your daily practice that will empower you and generate that energy and that focused of willed intention to direct out into the will. When all of these practices are implemented and performed regularly, the practitioner will gradually begin to develop and recognize this deeper awareness and the change that is occurring. If you are interested in Aramaic Yoga and the adversarial map to the chakras, you can find in Libra HVHI by Michael W. Ford. The 7 Hermetic principles can also help us understand how to use our minds to communicate with the universal life force energy, or what some call the universal mind. First is the principle of mentalism. This principle helps us to understand the interconnectedness of all things through the thought that all is mind, that the universe is mental, that life, matter, and energy of the material universe are all thoughts of an infinite and universal living mind. I refer to this energy as the universal life force energy, which means that all things are interconnected. There are different levels of existence that overlay one another. They are usually depicted as layers of a concentric circle, where the inner layers are more foundational and influence the outer layers. Within the concept of Hermeticism, there are 3 great planes: the mental, the physical, and the spiritual. From a personal perspective, the mental plane is experienced as our thoughts. An understanding of how these planes correspond with other unseen planes can show us that there really are more to our thoughts than we initially realized. Thoughts are not tied simply to this physical plane, but also to the energetic and to the spiritual plane. Your thoughts are very powerful, and they can empower or destroy you. Choose wisely. The principle of correspondence: as above, so below, as within, so without. This teaches us that there is a correspondence between the various planes. To understand this principle allows us to find hidden solutions to different problems by looking at the different levels of existence, by looking at what is above and what is below the problem. This will help us get a different vantage point. We can see different flows and blockages of what is happening in between. This is applicable to the different levels of awareness, the conscious and the unconscious. If these are not in alignment, we can be manifesting unconscious interpretations of our desires. The principle of vibration: everything vibrates, everything is energy. All matter, thoughts, and spirits are all energy that are vibrating on different frequencies, can be manipulated to produce various results. This is happening all the time. You can consciously choose to manifest your desired result, or be caught up in the unconscious manifestations of your will, which you may recognize as feeling like a leaf caught in the wind, being blown about by circumstance that is out of your control. As your understanding of vibration and frequency increases, so too shall your power over yourself and your world. As I stated earlier, we are not things, we are not titles, we are energy. Understand the powerful art of energy manipulation and harness this great and powerful magical art. The principle of polarity: everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Opposites are reflected in nature. They are the same, but at different degrees. Here we see that extremes meet and all paradoxes may be reconciled. This suggests that we can change the polarity of a degree of emotion by recognizing it as the same and choosing the degree that best suits the situation, similar to how we experience transitions within our psyches with other people, how we can go from like to dislike, love and hate. You can purposely choose how you experience these transitions by will, for the betterment of yourself and for others. You will understand that the differences are expressions of the same thing, just in different degrees. For example, for a spellcaster, a professional spellcaster, and let's say they have been hired for some baneful magic. So there is this person that up until that point, up until the moment of the spell, they were originally neutral toward, because they do not know that person and their feelings are neutral. But when they get themselves into that state to manifest that will to change and direct it out, they are going to invoke and inflame themselves with that emotion of hatred and disgust and disdain to enable them to use that emotion to their advantage. This is called the Art of Mental Alchemy, and it is a very powerful tool. The principle of rhythm. Everything flows in and out, everything ebbs and flows. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. This principle teaches us that everything exists in measured motion, ebbing and flowing, never sitting still, always changing. This principle controls the cycle of life and death, creation and destruction, rise and fall, and of course manifests various psychological states. When you are in tune with the principle of rhythm and understand that every psychological state exists in rhythm, always ebbing and flowing, you can learn to use this principle to your advantage. How do you do this? And follow the flow of your intuition. You will intuitively know where you should be when that pendulum moves to the right or to the left. You will know how you intuitively feel and heed that inner voice. Because if you're anything like me, you will regret every time that you do not heed that inner voice. Divination can also help when you're fine-tuning your relationship with that inner voice and that inner knowing and your holy daemon. This will help you understand where you are within that rhythm and how to best apply that rhythm to help generate your will. The principle of cause and effect. Every cause has an effect, every action a reaction. When you are connected to your daemon, you are less affected by the outward forces that tend to affect the masses so easily. Everything happens within the law of cause and effect. There is no such thing as chance. If you can understand and rise above to the higher planes of cause and effect mentally, you can become the causer instead of the causee. The masses are often carried along by the stronger will of others, being tossed about by circumstance and not in control of their own lives. But the masters are those that are in alignment with themselves and all being and connected to their daemon and to that higher plane and find themselves in control on this path of self-mastery. And as a result, they play the game of life instead of being played. There are many planes of causation, and none of them escape the law of cause and effect. Being in balance is very important to be able to be in control, to act instead of react, to be able to access this higher plane of knowing. When we are in our natural state of interacting with nature, we absorb all elemental energies constantly, and we are able to maintain a state of dynamic balance. When we are disconnected from our natural elements, it becomes more difficult, and we become physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually depleted. Each element is identifiable by a set of unique energetic frequencies and characteristics. So if you are feeling unbalanced, you can balance yourself by invoking the opposite elemental energy to neutralize the symptom. I know when I need to undergo such meditational practices and balancing, when I notice that I am more reactionary than taking purposeful action and responding to my environment. Also, another starting point can be that each of us are born with a specific combination of elemental energies that give us strength in certain areas and opportunities for growth. in others. The breakdown of your natal chart will provide you with very important insights into how you can implement these balances. The principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has masculine components as well as feminine components. Gender manifests on all planes. Please understand that the gender that I am referring to here is energetic principles of gender, not how one identifies. I am using this in the terms of everything has an attraction and a repulsion. An example might be you meet some people that you just immediately have a chemistry with, and with others, you are immediately repulsed by them and you are not energetically aligned. Another example might be magnets. The different ends of the magnets either attract or repulse. Okay, this is energy. This attraction and repulsion exists on all levels of existence. The masculine energy is more penetrative, assertive, an energy that drives forward and initiates progress. The feminine energy is more receptive, protective, honors priority of what is most important, and having that instinct to nourish life. Okay. Too much masculine energy can be problematic because it leads to over dominance, over assertion of will, while too much feminine energy can result in a life that is way too grounded. Without balance of masculine leads to a life of grounded so deeply in the present, determined by outside forces. The most potent use of this principle of gender is for creation, generation, and regeneration on the mental and spiritual planes, and not just the physical. True progress is possible through the balancing of the two genders of masculine and feminine, and applying this balance to ourselves, to our relationships, and to our environment. How focused are we on the future? How much are we giving and how much are we receiving? Asking ourselves if these energies are in balance, and good insights into implementing balance into these areas were given at the beginning of this presentation. When you are going to do anything, whether it's a magical task or mundane, part of the preparation is the purposeful setting of your intention. One also has to be mindful of the principle of gender. By this, I mean, we have to be mindful of what is the projective energy and what is the receptive energy. Your intention is the projection of your will, and how you will allow yourself to receive the fruits of your manifestation is receptive energy. There are so many aspects that are dependent upon the manifestation of what you have asked for. Sometimes the manifestations don't occur exactly as you have asked. And if you are waiting to receive only that specific thing, you could very well miss out on your manifested results. Keep in mind that sometimes achieving a goal is a progressive journey, and all things will start to unfold over a period of time. Sometimes something else that is more suited for you in the moment will manifest. Also, sometimes there can be a miscommunication within your being as to what you actually asked for. This is likely due to a miscommunication between the conscious and the subconscious mind, can affect the outcomes of our spell. And be receptive in order to receive your manifestation when it arises before you. Side note, remember that you will get results. Sometimes they're just not exactly what you asked for right away. The same applies when you're working with spirits and invoking the spirits. Working with spirits and asking them for help is another very powerful magical act. You can call the spirits in whatever way works for you when you invoke them and connect with them, and either make a pact or an agreement, or you make your request known. Just know that when the act is done, you need to forget about it and let it go and do its thing. If you get too involved in the little details, and you are constantly trying to micromanage about achieving the manifestation that you have requested, you are likely going to muck up your results. Do you really think that an ancient, powerful spirit with a greater perspective of the planes of existence than what you have need you to micromanage it? They don't. The same applies when working with universal energy. There are so many variables and aspects to a spell. If your intention sinks below into the subconsciousness without being in alignment and on the same page as the other levels of your being, you may muck up your result. Make sure that you take the time to be in alignment on all levels of your being before casting your spell. And once the spell is cast, you need to release it and forget about it. Guilt is also something that can affect the outcome of a spell. Either if one feels that they are not truly worthy of what they are asking for, or whatever it may be. Go through that whole process before you do your spell. And once you make your decision that this is what you want, then you need to know and believe it with 100% of your being that you deserve this outcome to come to pass and that it is going to happen. It is important to recognize those traits that do not serve you or those thoughts and interactions that are limiting to you. When you are able to recognize these things and apply change to them, it is a great moment of opportunity to welcome the initiatory experience of self-liberation. Magic can be practiced as simply as this. Balance is essential in nature and in humanity. Rise above and connect with that aspect of yourself, that infinite aspect of yourself, your daemon. Science has taught us that the brain is composed of billions of neurons. And these neurons use electricity to communicate to each other. Millions of signals are sent out by neurons at once, and these create a significant amount of electricity. This energy is created as brain waves. With each focused thought, you can generate a reaction in the physical world when directed at your desired outcome. Luciferianism is practiced and uniquely applied by each individual practitioner and in alignment with the current needs and desires of the individual. Luciferian ideology and magic really does transcend any specific tradition. This is a very individualistic path. The approval of others concerning an individual's practices are certainly not required. Communing with the spirits and deities on inward planes to gain insight and allow the practitioner to have the essence of the spirit to be absorbed within the psyche of the individual is very empowering. It happens because you will it to be so. The invocations and the words of power can be done internally or externally via inner works or outer work. I like to perform a wide variety of magical practices, from being extremely simplistic to very elaborate rituals. And I have seen success all across the board. Recite your invocations with passion and power. Invest your passion and your belief in your workings. Sigils are amazing. These are the language of the subconsciousness. As each individual is unique, so too is their approach of methodology in sigil creation. There is no one way, but rather many ways to achieve results. Because remember, a sigil can be an actual sigil on a piece of paper. It can be a work of art. It can be a song. It can be hand gestures, anything that is symbolic to you. What's important is that you embrace your internal symbolism. It's very important that you become impassioned in your working and allow your creativity to flow uninterrupted without judgment. Become entranced by your working, so much so to the point where the original meaning that you consciously had when you were creating the sigil gets lost and absorbed into the subconscious. I hope that this discussion has been helpful to you. And if you have any questions for me, please feel free to email me at maggiemoon@theleft-hand-path-witch.com. And until next time, I wish you dark and wild blessings.